Alright, so this is part 3 of the Victoria Farmhouse. Step-by-step instructions, also tips on putting this together. Today we are going to be doing painting, and we are also going to be gluing it together. And for my glam divas that is watching this video, do not be worried about these nails, because honey, these nails is trash. Anytime I'm working on a project, my nails get neglected. So don't be worried about these nails, worry about this house, and worry about your mama. Don't be worried about me and my nails, okay? So this is the primer that I will be using. And I think I'm just going to prime and paint. I don't think sanding is going to be necessary for this because it's pretty smooth as is. And I seen someone else said that she had never had to sand her walls. She's always primed and paint. So you know what? We're gonna go that route and just prime and paint because, like I said, this is smooth. If you guys get this kit, it's smooth. Like there's no. I was confused when people said to sand it, but then again, I think those were older videos where maybe it wasn't as smooth as they are making them now, but these are pretty smooth. So we're going to prime and paint. Never used a can primer before, so. Alright, it's priming white, which is good. I'm able to see what's primed and not primed. I think with the primer, what I was also reading from the person that suggested this primer, is that it's sealing some of the wood. So when you paint, it will be as smooth as possible. So we'll come back when all of this is primed. It is all primed, as you can see. So I'm gonna wait for that primer to dry before we start painting it. FYI, I used 1 whole can of primer to prime the first floor walls. Well, I guess I should say the first floor and half of the second and third floor. Anyways, I used 1 can of primer to do all of that. It's pretty much gone. Alright, so boom. The paint we're going to be using, it's bare. It's called Bit of Sugar. It's like the whitest of the whites. I also went and grabbed a small paint roller for the paint to go in, which is right here. And then I bought extra paint rolls. So yeah, you're gonna get you paint roll, paintbrush, whatever you want, but I'm just using this, and I'm going to go ahead and start painting my sides of the house, first level. And I'm trying to avoid the bottom, but as you see, because that's where, you know, the glue is going to go. If you do happen to get some on the bottoms, that's done there, just go ahead and sand that off. So that is when you would know to use the sander. No, this is actually going to be this way, yeah. So yeah, if you happen to get some on the bottom, oh, no, there, none there, neither. Just use a sander to get the paint off when you start gluing. first layer. You can see how this white is way brighter than the primer that I put on previously. So you'll be able to tell what's primer and what's paint. Let's focus here. I'm trying to do this with one hand. All right. Paint tip for when you are trying to get in these lines. Make sure that you, see, if you just roll over, you're gonna miss some lines. You're gonna miss some black, not some black, but some brown spaces in there, you see? So if you press your paintbrush down while you're painting, you're gonna be able to get those spaces that you missed. Just realize that, like, why is this not covering? Make sure you're pressing that paintbrush down, and then you'll be able to get them. Okay, and this is after one coat of paint. For the second coat of paint, I am going to be using a paintbrush. There are some areas where you are just going to have to like go in between some things, and the paintbrush is going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that with the roller. The only thing is, and which is why I didn't use the paintbrush at first, is that if you do use the paintbrush, you are going to get paint on the side. Once again, those sides need to not have paint on them so that when you glue those together, it's going to stick. With paint, you're going to have to take a sander and sand that painting away so that it will stick to whatever you are gluing together. So next what we're going to do is start painting on the bottom of the base. Once again, I'm going to paint all the way around the front base, and I'm going to paint that in black. And for this, I'm just going to use some crafting paint. Since this is not a large area, crafting paint will be fine to use. And as long as you put a sealant on it, it'll be fine. All right, y'all, this is actually one coat of that crafting paint on there. I put it on pretty thick, but I didn't need to go back and do another coat, so that is just one coat of paint. So now we're able to go ahead and start gluing these pieces in place. Make sure you do not glue this in place before you glue this one in place, because you are going to need to know exactly where that goes. So that is why we didn't glue that in place, even though it's going to be gluing in place, without doing this, painting this first, because I haven't decided what I want to do with this bottom yet. So we're going to go ahead and do this without doing this part yet. So once again, this piece will be the only piece where you're gluing from this unit. This piece is the only piece that will be glued down. Okay, so I did go ahead and glue this left piece, only this piece, down. My screws came out, so I had to put a little wood glue in here, and I'm letting that dry also before I screw this back on, so that's why that's open there. But I did go ahead and glue just this left piece down, and I'm holding that with some weights because there's no other way to hold this down to the base floor. This piece is not glued in. So after this piece is down, you can go ahead and put your access bay floor down. It's going to go right next to it. So you can glue that down and then put tape on the top to keep it in place. Just make sure this piece is glued down first. And then we can go ahead and glue this piece in. All right, so I went ahead and glued the access bay base floor down. And then once again, here's my little setup. I do have the magazine, the access bay roof bed, and then the dividers down here to kind of hold it up. It doesn't really need it, as you can see, it's holding up without all of this there, but I just put that there for extra. So yeah, that's there for extra security. in case I'm gonna stick the fall down. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the right side down with tape and not glue it down yet. We're gonna put it down with tape and then we're gonna start gluing it. You do not want to start gluing it in place yet until you have it taped around, just like when we did when it wasn't painted. You're gonna want to tape it around first and then start the gluing, so you'll know exactly where the glue goes and exactly how it's going to fit together. Alright, so actually I didn't need to tape this down again. I just put it up and it's pretty much staying up. But make sure you put it up first before you go in with the wood glue. On page 9 of your booklet, if you turn it upside down, you would see exactly how that's supposed to be glued in. So the gable right side goes all the way down, and then the front intercepts it, and then the right side clapboard goes all the way down, and then the front once again intercepts it there. So basically the front is in the middle of these two when you're putting it together. All right, now we can go ahead and glue those. Make sure that you do have a couple of pieces of tape down so that when you do start gluing it in, that tape is readily there for you to use to help the gluing process. Now, you are going to start gluing it with the left clapboard first. Start gluing this down first, and then you can, proceed on all the way over here. Just remember, when you do glue this piece down, that you do not glue it to the wall. Do not glue here. It's just going to be glued on the bottom. Do not glue this to this. This piece is going to open up. Do not glue that down. So yeah, go ahead and start with this piece first. You can also take a pencil and mark where you're going to put the glue. So here it is, all glued and taped down. Now, remember, you are going to want a wet paper towel to kind of get the glue off in areas where you can. It's kind of hard to get in between here, that we are going to end up painting back over this anyways. But just make sure you get as much glue as you can from the outside and the inside. I've already done that. And then yeah, we are going to need to paint back over this, because not only for instances like that, but I was getting some of the shards from the paint that I had previously used onto this paint. You can see some of it, and because I used an old painter's board, you will see some of the shards were just coming off and getting on the paint. So I will be throwing this one away and getting me a new one when I start painting the other things, so that this issue doesn't happen again. But yeah, we are gonna have to paint back over it, because so y'all, I don't have a builder's bone, nor do I have a painter's bone inside of this body. So yeah, we'll be painting right back over all of that. But this is how it's looking so far. All right, and I do have 2 weights on top to kind of hold it down. All right, so I switched that up a little bit. I have here the dividers, a weight pressed against the dividers, which is pressed into the base floor. Once again, the base floor glue is drying also, and the glue on the right side is also drying. So, all right, so I went ahead and took the tape off, and then I put the dividers and the magazine under here. This had a little more time to dry off, but now we're going to be moving on to the left side. So I'm going to start off with the bay. So you're just going to go from right to left. So we're going to start with the bay, window and the side. We're gonna go ahead and glue those in place, and then we'll put the last clapboard on. And because it's so tall, hopefully it being glued onto here is gonna help it be more stabilized and stay in place. So yeah, we're just gonna glue these in. Alright, so I noticed an issue with the left side of the bay and the left side clapboard. So if we glue this in place, which it should be right here, because it should be straight across on here, as well as the left. We haven't done it yet because I was checking measurements. It should be right here. This space is not big enough for the clapboard to fit. I just have this clapboard leaning in between these two the weights here to show you what I mean. So this clapboard should be glued onto this base floor, and one of the side pieces should be glued onto the clapboard and the floor. But as you can see, the clapboard is just too thick to where this piece, there's about a centimeter to where the bay window is not going to fit, because it needs to be flat against that piece, and it's not. These pieces are the exact same size, and it works for this right side. It works on the right side. I checked the measurements against with the bay window. I checked the measurements with this on this side already, and it works. It just doesn't work for this side. It works for the right side, but not the left side. So make sure you check your measurements before you start gluing in your stuff. So I am going to have to cut, I don't know, a centimeter or so off of one of these sides. Like I said, I do not have a builder's bone in my body, so I don't know how I'm gonna do that. But yeah, this is not okay. We're going to need to cut that so that the bay window fits. So yeah. So like I said, the right side is good. It's good on the right side. It's just the left side is not. I even marked it to where it needs to be cut. Yeah, it's not gonna work here, guys. So I even, as you guys seen before I put this clapboard in, I even tried to say, okay, well, what if we just had it flushed here and then the clapboard not coming all the way over. This is a pretty thick piece for the clapboard to just be, you know, hanging off on the edge right there. And you know, it needs to be perfect because I am a perfectionist, and this is not, yeah, it's not gonna work. The only other solution would be to cut this. That's the only solution to do here. You can't even put this like on top and be like, oh, well, there, that works. No, because it needs to be on the bottom. It needs to be down here, because it's gonna mess up the ceiling if you put this on top of here. Because if you put that on top of there, and then you have this one actually where it's supposed to go, down here, it's not going to be straight across. You're gonna mess up the roof. You're gonna have a crooked roof is what you're gonna have. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece in. I'm not going to glue, obviously, this piece, the bay, and I'm not even gonna glue the bay window in. I could glue the bay window in, but I really want to get this piece fixed first before I glue in the bay window. I really want this piece attached to the clapboard and the base floor before I glue in the bay window. So I'm gonna need to get that cut. So let's go ahead and glue this side in since this side is right. Okay, so I got that glued and taped into place. So that's glued. Everything else is glued down. So moving on to the next part. All right, so while we're waiting for everything, for all the glue to dry, we can go ahead and start to paint the second floor and the attic walls. So you're gonna need the upper right side clapboard, the upper right front, the gable right side, and then you're going to need the gable triangle, the attic end wall, and also the second attic end wall. And these are all gonna also be painted white. So we can go ahead and start priming and painting those. All right, so now that we have these all primed, we can go ahead and start on the stairs. All right, so boom. It took me entirely way too long to figure out how the stairs go, even with the illustrations on the last page, which is page 25. But I think I got it. Now, I'm not sure if all kits is gonna have this, but the bottom of the steps are darker than the top of the steps. And the little nubs right here, make sure they are pointing down. And that is the best advice I can give you for how to figure that out. And it says to glue it with hot glue. So we got our hot glue gun here and we're gonna, right, so here's the stairs. The bottom is darker than the top. You can tell really well on there. Anyhow. All right, so we got the stairs done. We can go ahead and start painting this bay top. So this is the top of the bay, basically, the ceiling. So the ceiling on the house, I'm going to do black. So we're going to go ahead and paint this black. And then we're going to paint the middle part white, and then the bottom part's going to be black again. So we can go ahead and start painting this in those colors, black and white. And then once the black is dry on here, I'm going to come back and paint the white on there. So we're not going to be able to do anything with the left side yet. All right, so yeah, I am going to need to go and buy a new saw so that I can take about, what, a centimeter off of one of the end pieces, or side pieces, I should say. So I'm going to need to buy a new saw for that. So the next part is the divider. You got two of these dividers here. So that is just going to glue in place to one of the right side gable, is it gable or gavel? Right side gable. It's gonna glue in that side, that piece, okay? It's gonna glue in that piece and then on the floor also. Now, what you need to decide is if you want your, well, first you need to decide if you even want this. Some people may want an open floor plan and not have that. I, for one, am doing a farmhouse. And not only am I doing a farmhouse, I'm doing a old farmhouse. Old farmhouse had room dividers. They had dividers. They didn't have open floor plans. Okay, they had dividers. If you're not doing a farmhouse and doing, you know, a modern house, maybe you do want an open floor plan, but I'm not doing that, so I will have a divider. Even with the divider, you need to decide if you want it that way or if you want the opening over here. So you don't have to have it over here on the other side. You can have it here. But I think I'm going to want to have it over here because the stairs, which we finished right before we started this, the stairs we're gonna go this way, which I think that is totally backwards. I think it should face the door, but it goes this way. Now you can put the stairs the other way and switch it. If you do that, you are gonna have to switch the middle floor. And you know what, I don't want to have to figure that out and then end up messing it up. So we're going to put it the way it's supposed to go, which is this way. So, and also this way is where the kids will play, so they'll be able to make the little dolls go up the stairs. If you do it this way, it's going to kind of be hard to make the dolls go up the steps, you know. So we're going to put it this way for play's sake. So, whether you want your divider going this way or the other way is up to you. Or you can make another doorway over here. So you can have it this way and then make another doorway over on this side as well. Okay, so I couldn't decide if I wanted 2 openings or not. So I did just put the top piece on. It's not glued in or anything. I put the top piece on so that I can put the stairs in, not glued also, so that I can see if there was enough room in the dining and kitchen to put another opening here. And I did test my dining set that I have for the dolls, and it does look like there will be enough room, either if it was here or if it was back there, to have an opening right here. So I think I am going to do another opening right here and leave that one back there, because I do like the idea of that opening being by the front door. I do like that idea. So I am going to put another opening over here. I think I am going to switch the divider though and make my opening on that side, and then have the divider, you know, switched to where this opening is over here and make my opening over there. Not for any particular reason. The only particular reason is if I mess up, it's not going to show in the front. It'll be back there and no one will ever be able to tell. So yeah. So I'm actually going to get this divider and I am going to put it on top of this one. And I'm going to trace out the doorway to make another opening. That's the easiest way to do it. Alright y'all, so boom, I traced where I'm going to use my saw. Well, the new saw that I'm going to have to get. I traced where I'm going to use that saw at on there. So yeah, I was going to need a new saw anyways, right? Yeah, right. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and paint these. Earlier we just primed it, so now we can go ahead and start painting it. Right, and that's one coat of paint. Alright, so while that first coat of paint is drying, we're going to do some floors. So what I am going to do is I am going to finish my first level first before I start my middle level or the second level. I'm going to do the wallpaper, the floors, and there is trim for like the inside of the windows. The only thing I'm not going to do is actually put like the windows and the doors in. I'm not going to do that yet, but I am basically going to do everything else on the first level before I put the second level up. That way it's just easier to, you know, get to where you need to get to when that second level is not, it's not there. So I am going to finish the first level. Alright, so you're going to start off with some cardstock. So I am doing this, I'm going to do my floors this way because I may want to end up taking it out and changing it later. So if you are indecisive and you like to change things up, get you some cardstock and you'll be able to slide your floors in and slide them back out if you want to change it. So, but if you're not going to change it and you're pretty consistent with what you are wanting, you do not have to use the cardstock. You can just do your floors onto the dollhouse there. But I'm going to use cardstock like I said. And so slide your cardstock in And then on this side, I also have a piece of cardstock, and I also have my divider already in. So what you're gonna do is you're going to want to draw a line. You are gonna need a ruler. I do have a ruler here, and you're just gonna draw your line all the way down. That is going to be where you're going to cut that piece out. Once you got your line drew out, the second thing you're going to do is you're just going to fold this piece down, and that will give you your line of where you need to cut at. So this one, we're going to go ahead and cut this line out first, and then we're going to fold it down. After you folded that down pretty good, you're going to just label. Here I have the front right living room. This means that piece is going to go to the front, and that's going to be the right side. And then just like how I have front right, I have back left. Just labeling on the back side of where the floor is going to be. I also labeled it this piece at the top there. Not necessary since this will all be one piece. Anyways. Alright, so boom. Another thing I got from Hobby Lobby is these popsicle sticks, or as some people call them, craft sticks. There's the size there. There's the amount of money I spent on it. This is going to be our floors. So we're going to use these for our floors. And we're going to be using our wood glue to glue those onto the cardstock. Alright, so the living room is done with the cardstock sized and cut to fit. And then don't forget your little door frame here also. Then over here in the kitchen and dining room, I also did that off camera. Don't forget your area over here, and then your bay area. Don't forget that also. So I'll show you the way to do the bay window floor. And also this is easier to open now that it has more stability, because this piece and this piece is glued down to the floor. So there's more stability just adding this piece for this piece to open up. So at this point, you should be able to open that up easily without the hinges coming up or without this trying to come off. So anywho, you're just gonna put some cardstock right there, and you're gonna trace around it. And that would be how you would get the perfect size for that. Alright, so I know I said we're going to do the floor now, but actually we're going to go and finish some painting, and then we'll come back to the floors. Okay, so yeah, earlier we had put that first coat of paint on, so now we can go ahead and start the second coat of paint. And also at this time, we did the bay ceiling earlier in the black, so we can also go ahead and put the white paint on that bay ceiling and finish that bay ceiling also at this point. So while this is drying, we can then go back to the floors. Alright, so now these walls have their second coat of paint on it, and then I also put the white paint on the base ceiling. Now something I noticed is that, I'm not sure if they did it on purpose or not, but I noticed where you see the white paint at, that part is actually textured. I am going to have to put a second coat of paint. This is just the first one, for the white at least. But I can't see if you guys can tell, but anywho, the white is actually textured. So if you do not want that texture look, I think I like the texture look because it looks more, there we go. It looks more like a roof that way. But if you want it to be more smooth, then you are going to have to sand that part down. But I'm going to keep it that way. So that's the first coat of white paint, and this is the second coat of white paint on the walls. So we're gonna set this stuff here and let that stuff dry. Alright y'all, so boom, my tool came in to cut some popsicle sticks so that we can do some floors. Now these are called miter shears, and they do not, and I repeat, they do not cut these popsicle sticks good. They're not that sharp. But what you can use them for is, or what I did, is I used them to make the straight lines here. To cut straight, because I cannot cut straight from nothing. So I did use it to cut straight lines, and then I'm just going to use this piece as the model piece to cut the rest of the popsicle sticks. And I'm using some wire cutters to cut these popsicle sticks. These are going to cut it. This is not going to cut it, but you can get your score line with these. And the reason why I'm keeping these is because I'm going to need them to cut trim and things like that. So I am going to keep it for that reason. But as far as cutting popsicle sticks, it's a no-go. It's not going to cut the popsicle sticks. It's just not sharp enough. So after you get your score lines for your popsicle sticks, you will be able to use a model to cut the rest with some wire cutters. So that's what we're going to do. Here you see, as I said, the line is cut straight. All you're going to do is use your wire cutters, and you're going to cut straight along that line, and then you're going to cut straight along this line, and you're going to get identical pieces for your floors. Alright, so now that you have your identical pieces, you're going to find the middle of that piece and you're going to cut it also. First, you're going to use your miter tool to make sure it's straight, and then you're going to use your wire cutters to actually do the cutting. This is about half of a piece, so you're going to use that half a piece as a model, because you're going to cut all of these in half to get the right size for the floors. So then you're just going to cut right there also. So now you should have lots of pieces for the floors. I'm just trying to figure out what looks better, if I should do it this way or if I should do it this way. And I think I want to do it this way, since this is where the eye would be at. Like, this is the way you will be looking at it. When I had it the other way, it kind of looked like bricks. And I mean, it still kind of looks like bricks this way too. But I think once it's stained and everything is in there, it's going to look better. But yeah, I think since my eye is going this way, I think since we're looking at it this way, it's best to put the floors this way, because when it was the other way, it looks like, you know, it looks like bricks, right? So putting it this way, where you would be looking at it, it looks better. So once you have a look you think you're gonna be happy with, you can go ahead and start using your wood glue and gluing it down to the cardstock. That's a very important part to remember, is that this is going to be on cardstock. It's not on the actual dollhouse kit itself, it's on cardstock. So if you do want to remove it, it's going to be easy to remove, which is why we are doing it this way on the cardstock in the first place, because hey, we may get a bit bored with it, or hey, we may think, hey, it does look like bricks, I don't like that, and take it out completely, and that is okay, because we are doing this on cardstock and it will be easy to remove. So we can go ahead and start gluing those in place. Now when you start on, especially on these, the sides that are going to be touching the actual dollhouse, you're going to want to make sure you don't get too much glue on that side so that it doesn't glue onto the dollhouse. But once we are done gluing everything down, we are going to remove it out and let it dry on the table and not let it dry inside of here. Alright. So did I tell you guys I don't have a builder's bone in my body? So if this does end up looking like crap, guess what? We can easily remove it. That's the best part. So let's just keep on winging it. We're halfway through. Now that the whole room is filled with the popsicle sticks, it doesn't look like such a hot mess that I thought it would be. And then when it's stained, it's going to look even better. But now I'm going to go ahead and answer one of the questions a lot of people are going to have, which is, how do you take these out with the stairs that are going to be in? So the stairs are actually going to be glued onto the wall. If you don't want to glue them onto the wall, you don't have to. You can just have it like freestanding and be able to take it out when you want and put it back in. It is a really tight squeeze, so it's like, even if you didn't glue it in, it'd probably be fine with just like leaving it freestanding and be able to take it out, you know, when you want. So it is pretty tight. But if you do glue it in, you're just going to end up gluing it onto the wall a little higher than usual, and you'll be able to take this piece out and slide it back in without it bothering the stairs at all. Even now, I mean, it's kind of all the way down and you're still able to slide it in and out. So yeah, you would be able to still have these stairs in there with a removable floor. So yeah, that is how that works. Alright, so moving on to the kitchen. I think I like the kitchen better with the longer popsicle sticks, which is basically, you know, the longer one without it cut in half, like these are cut in half. I think I like the kitchen to be longer since it is a longer room than the living room. And I think the longer popsicle sticks is going to look the best. None of these are glued in. I was just taking a look to see if I liked it, and yeah, I think I like this way better than making them all short. Plus it's gonna take less time to finish. Alright, so this is the dining room floor that it's all finished. It's just sitting here drying. I got some weights and some spots where the boards are coming up. I want to make sure I get those weights in the right spots there. I went ahead and did this piece. That's kind of easy to do. But this piece, I am going to show you how to do that. You're just going to line your popsicle sticks up to each corner here. You're going to start here and make sure that you end at this one, and then I'll show you how to do the side there. Alright, so we're going to let those dry. Still have a little to do over here, but I'm going to show you how to do the outside. So you're just going to take a smaller popsicle stick. You're going to glue that on there. Once this is dry and you turn it over, you'll be able to cut around the cardstock. That is going to be the easiest way to do that. Just cut around, just glue the popsicle sticks on, and then cut when you turn it over. Once it's dried, make sure the glue is dry. Turn it over and then cut where you see this popsicle stick away from the cardstock. I will come back and show you that when this is all done and dry. The floor is drying and the bay window floor is drying. I'm going to go ahead and show you the living room floor. And what I'm going to use to stain it is going to be this. The color is dark walnut. Alright y'all, so boom. This is what it looks like after it's stained, and I absolutely love it. Some of the wood did not take the stain like the other parts of the wood, and I love that about it because it makes it look more antique and old, which is what we're going for with our farmhouse. So I've never used this actual stain before. So what I did was I mixed it, then I brushed it on, and then I wiped it off. And this is what we got going on. This is the bay window, and the living room has 4 parts to it. So the big part, this part that goes in between the door, and then one that's over by the stairs, and then another one at the bottom. Anyways, this is what it looks like, and I love it. Like I said, I've never used this stain before, so I didn't know how it was going to turn out. The only stain I've used before was this stain, which is like not even actually a stain, it's for scratches. And I used this on my miniature furniture pieces, but I didn't want it to be the same color as the wood. I mean, it's similar, but I didn't want it to look exactly the same. So that's why I went with something different, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I do this bay window. So, once again, instead of cutting all the pieces like here, if you are like me and you ain't got a builder's bone in your body, you don't know how to make all them angle cuts and all that fancy stuff like that. So you're just going to cover the whole thing with popsicle sticks. And then, like I said, if you turn it around, you'll be able to see where you're going to need to cut off those popsicle sticks, and then you will have the perfect piece for the bay window. So yeah, that's the easiest way to do that if you don't want to make those angled cuts. I did do it here, but this is just the easiest way to do that. Just cut them bad boys off. So yeah, and boom, just like that, it fits perfectly. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and stain this now that it's dry, just like we did the living room floor. All right, so boom, the first floors are done. So for those who want to know how many popsicle sticks I used about 150. 150 popsicle sticks was used in the making of these floors. Not having these walls here was easier to, you know, put the floor in and see how the floor would go without the walls being here. So I actually would recommend you not having these walls here before doing the floors. Since I did do it that way, it wasn't meant to be that way, but I keep double checking this wall, and it looks like it may fit still, and it may not fit, but I'm going to wait until I complete like the walls before I add this wall, because not having the wall here made it so much easier to do the floors. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to put together some people call it a skirt, some people call it the trellis, some people call it the gate. It's basically the bottom of the deck that you see on old farmhouses. These wooden coffee stairs I got from Amazon. If you are particular about, you know, wanting your trellis to look perfect and lines to look straight, then you can actually buy trellises that are already made and put those on your dollhouse. But my plan when I was starting this dollhouse was to make anything that I could make and save money, because once you start buying things, it can get very expensive. But you can buy trellises that are already made for your dollhouse. You'll just have to paint them whatever color and then fit them to your dollhouse. Alright, now with your coffee stairs, you are going to want to cut the curve off of those. I thought when I bought these that they weren't going to have the little curve on them, but they do. So you're just going to cut those curves off until you get a bunch of pieces like this. We're going to go ahead and start with the skirt of the deck. And you're just going to take your coffee stairs that you have already cut, and you're just going to lay them out kind of like I did here. And then you're just going to use a hot glue gun because you want it to set fast. You're going to use a hot glue gun, and you're just going to start putting other ones on top of them. So you're wanting one that's going diagonal and horizontal. So you are going to get like a checkered look, and that is what you want, because when you turn it to the side, it's going to give you that diamond look once you turn it to the side. So you do want the checkered look. And the easiest way to start that is to put one at the top and then one on the bottom, going horizontal. One on the top, one on the bottom. And then you're just going to start laying your next ones with the hot glue. You're just going to start laying those down. Alright, so boom! This is what you have when you're done, the checker look. And then when you turn it to the side, you have the diamond look. That is what you're wanting. Then you're going to paint this white. So I am using the same paint that I used for the house. So yeah, it looks like it's going to need another coat of paint. You can probably use the crafting paint from like Walmart, the acrylic paint from Walmart. It probably will cover with just one coat, but I don't have any. I'm going to use what I have, which is the white paint that I used for the house. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and have a talk session and finish some more of these. So anytime, you know, during this project, if you feel overwhelmed, it is okay to take a break. If you're feeling that, you know, oh, that's going to take too long, or, you know, you don't want to do something at that moment, then that may be telling you that you need a break. And it's okay to take a break. Some people finish these in like 3 months and stuff like that. So it's not like you need to work on this every day of your life. And obviously you're not going to be able to, because most of your time on this project is going to be drying time for like paint and like the wood glue and things like that. So if you need to take a break, go ahead and take that break. That's okay. Okay, y'all, so as I'm doing this, I'm kind of noticing that the ends being cut off doesn't really matter for these. I thought I would have enough coffee stairs. I thought I would have enough coffee stairs for what we're going to do next, where you would need these ends to be cut off. But for this particular part, I'm noticing they probably really don't need to be cut. But the next part, what we're gonna use these on secondly, you will need them cut. Alright, so I was able to make 3 more of these. You are going to need several, because we are going to be ending up cutting them and to fit into the shape that it needs to fit in. Anywho, I do have a few left over, so I am going to need to buy another pack of these for what I originally wanted to use these for. This was not what I had bought them for, but I was like, hey, you know, that would probably work for the gate, or for the skirt, for the deck also. So that's what we did there for the skirt. It was a good idea to use for the skirt also, with the little tweaking. But yeah, we are going to need to buy some more, because these are actually going to be what we're going to use for our beat board in the house. So yeah, that's what I originally bought these for. So I'll need another pack. Alright, as those are drying with the first coat of paint, they are going to need a second coat of paint. I was going to start on the walls, but like I said, yeah, I used all the coffee stairs for the skirt of the deck. I was originally not going to do the skirt of the deck this way. Then I decided to do it at the last minute. So yeah, we are going to need more coffee stairs to do the walls. We're going to move on to this part of the foundation. Now, this part of the foundation is going to be the cement part of the foundation. And for that, I picked up some of this spray paint. It's in a stone textured finish, and it's supposed to look like this cap. So I'm hoping that it looks similar to this cap. I think that'll look good for the foundation part. That's not going to be the one with the deck above it. We're going to do it in the cement look. So I did go ahead and put blue tape around the parts that I don't want to get the spray paint on, and you're going to do that around the whole thing. Now, if you're going to leave your walls off like I did this side, not on purpose, but I did say that it was easier to put the floors in with this walls down. So if you're going to do your walls down like this, make sure you just put paint on this part here where the wall will be glued in, and the same over here. So that's the only thing I want you guys to make sure, that if you do not have the walls up, because it's easier to put the floors in and things like that with the walls not on yet, figured that out after it was not purposely left off. But if you are going to leave it off, then make sure you put tape here. And then on the back side, you're just going to put tape on the top here because all of this is going to be in the stone finish. And then you want to make sure that at the end, I did not paint this black. This part's going to be black also. Forgot to do that part, but you're just going to tape that off too because this part is all going to be black. So this is all going to be in that same finish. I'm going to start with the back, so I'm just putting this on the front side so that I can get the back here. I do want to say that you do want to make sure you do this part before you put the walls and everything up. I just didn't do it because once again I didn't know what I wanted to use, so I'm going to use this and hopefully it looks good. Alright, so boom, this is what it looks like and I love it. I love it. It pretty much looks like the cap here. You know, it pretty much looks the same. So yeah, I am in love with that. It's textured and I am going to let that dry before I move on to, I think we're gonna do this side next. We're gonna let this dry before we move on, and this is what it's looking like. And I am in love with the results. So once again, make sure you do this before you put your walls and things on so you don't have to, you know, use the tape method and do all of this crazy stuff. Do this before you put the walls up. And this stuff, spread it everywhere. And it even got on the wall. I wiped it off though. It's easy to wipe off, by the way. But yeah, I didn't see that part, so let me wipe that off. And yeah, this is what it's looking like. Alright, at this point I'm also going to do the stairs. I did tape the top of the steps because I think I want something different on top of there. And then I did tape the back and the bottom. Now, make sure if you are going to use any paint for these stairs, whether you're going to do the stone finish like I'm going to do with these or not, make sure you tape the back so you don't get paint on the back because you do need to glue the back onto the base floor in the front. So make sure you don't get any paint on the back. So this is how I taped mine off. I also put tape on the bottom. I'm not sure how this texture is going to work on the bottom, which is why I put tape on the bottom. And then I'm going to leave the areas that you see now. Those are going to be in the stone finish. Alright, so boom, here it is done. Now you are going to need to smooth like the thick areas out. I'm just using a piece of leftover popsicle stick just to smooth some of the areas out. I also did it on here too. There is going to be some areas that is just going to be too much in one area, so just smooth that out and you'll be fine. So that is what it's looking like. Another pro tip is before you do the stone finish, you can paint this, you know, gray or black or white, any color you want before you do the stone finish, because in some areas the brown may peek through. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but that's just another tip for those that is like don't like to see. For instance, here you can see some of the brown. You can paint this, like I said, you can paint it the gray, the black, or the white if you don't want to see that. I actually don't mind it. It gives it more character. We are going to move on to the deck, but before we start the deck, we are going to need to do the front door. Now, And the reason why we have to do the front door first is because the deck planks are gonna come up towards the door. So you wanna make sure that you wanna make sure at least that you have the door put in. But since we are at this point, I guess we will go ahead and do the door now. I like my doors to have a screen over it since it is a farmhouse. So I did buy this screen door from Hobby Lobby. So we are going to need to tweak this screen door. So I was able to make some cuts, and after 2 cuts at the bottom, that was able to slip out. So we have the screen door. Now the thing about this screen door is that it was put in the frame, I guess backwards. We want our screen door to open up this way, to open out, you know, like that. We don't want it to open inside. And if you get one of these screen doors, they do open inside, so you'll have to maybe take it out and tweak it. Now this, like I said, this does not, the frame doesn't even fit in this hole. So I know some people were saying that they, you know, would cut it up and, you know, do all sorts of things, but it doesn't fit in this hole. So this is the doors that come with the Victoria Farmhouse. Use one of those doors as the front door. We'll hook it up this way because, you know, this circle is going to be, is the top. And if you're looking at it, it is upside down, but it's just to show you there is the space up here. So you can either put like a little window up here, or you can just put more wood up here. And this is what we want. We want to be able to see through it like an actual screen door. So if this door is open, you got that top right there that needs to be covered up. So all right, so go ahead and get y'all some bamboo sticks. I have used these a lot in my other miniature projects. You get a pack of 128 pieces. You can either use bamboo sticks for this part, or you can just use a popsicle stick. I used the bamboo stick, and then I cut another piece of the bamboo stick to fit at the top here. That is what we're going to use for this door to fit snug, and for us to attach this door to the back door. Now, if you take this out, you'll notice that the bamboo sticks is inside of this frame, the inside frame. So these bamboo sticks are fitting on the inside of the frame. These aren't even actually glued in. Obviously you are going to want to glue it in, but at this point they're just really snug in there. They're not even glued in at this time. I wanted to just make sure that I had a good base for the door to fit in. But yeah, these are not glued in now, but this is what you're going to want to use in order to attach this to the door. And that is how we're going to stick this door onto the other door. Now I did not do that yet. I did not stick that on yet because we still need to paint these doors, and there's going to be different painting going on for these two things. Now up here it's not the straightest when I cut another piece out to put up there, but that is all going to be covered up with paint. So on this part you can go ahead and put like some wood glue on this little crack here and glue that in place, because now that becomes a part of the frame. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and glue, go ahead and put some glue here to make it flat. Then we're gonna go ahead and paint the doors. All right, so you're just gonna use some wood glue and then flatten that out, and then that's what you're gonna paint over. So let that dry, and then you'll be able to start your. We are just going to use the other door so that we can just start putting in our deck flooring. So yeah, you just use the other door. Well, since we already figured out how we're going to do the screen on the doors, we're going to just use the other door. I only bought one of these, so depending on how this looks, I may buy another one to put on the upstairs porch also, but for this porch we can go ahead and start putting the flooring down. And what we're going to be using for the flooring is once again the bamboo sticks that I showed you earlier. So once again, all of the materials that I use will be in the description box. Alright, so at this time we now have this paint drying off and we have the glue to the door drying off. Now, the best advice I can give you guys when you're doing this is to always be doing something. Do not wait until the skirt dries to finish the porch skirting. Do not wait until the door dries, the door glue dries to paint the, to paint the door and then put this one. Make sure you are always doing something. So while that stuff is drying, we are able to go on and move on to the porch while using this door to do the porch flooring. Also, I have already put a sealant on the porch base here, and also a sealant on the bay window here. Now, if you are using the black crafting paint or any crafting paint, you are going to need a sealant in case you get anything on that. You want to be able to wipe it off without the color distorting or anything like that. So I've already put that sealant on there, and the sealant that I used is the Fusion All-in-One Gloss Clear. That is why it has sort of a shiny look to it. So yeah, another tip is to always be doing something. So we're moving on to the flooring. So these are, once again, the bamboo sticks, and you're just going to want to cut them to make sure you get the right cut. I mean, I'm going to have to cut these some more. Make sure you are using your miter shears to do this so that it is straight, and you're just going to lay them down like this. You can do your deck any way you want. I am actually going to glue these on to the deck because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to want to change anything about the deck. If I do change anything, it'll be like staining or painting it, but I think I'm going to keep these this color and not change anything about the deck. You can also do them long ways if you like, but I'm going to do it this way. And just do that all the way across here until we get to about the corner. Alright, so I have found a stopping point. This is the bamboo sticks for the porch flooring. And I did kind of do a pattern since I did have some darker ones and some lighter ones. Anyways, we are all the way at the end here. So, I did do about maybe 6 sticks each, and each time that I did those, every time I laid them down, I would put a weight at the end, like I would put a weight like at the end here and scoot it up so that it will keep the bamboo sticks together and even and flat. And each time that I did that, I would have to take a wet paper towel and wipe the excess that came in through the lines and wipe that all the way off. And then I also put a weight on top of it. So I did 6 at a time doing it that way, and after 5 minutes of, letting it dry with, one weight holding it back or holding it up towards this wall and then one weight holding it down, after about 5 minutes of drying, I just did that every 6, sticks. I did that or so. And then I'm wiping as I'm going and then holding them down with more and more weights. So that is how you're going to get it to be flat and none of the bamboo sticks coming up. That's how you get it to be flat. You gotta make sure you got a weight in the back to keep it from sliding, because they will slide if you don't have a weight behind there. So you'll need a weight to keep it from sliding this way. and then you'll need a weight to keep it down also. So now that we are at a stopping point here, we can go ahead and put another second coat on the gate for the porch, and then we can also go ahead and paint the door. Okay, so we went ahead and painted a second coat on the skirt. I keep calling it a gate, but it's the skirt to the porch underneath. It's a skirt. I keep calling it a gate. So we went ahead and put a second coat on that, and now we're going to paint the door red. And this is the color I'm using. It's more crafting paint, so we are going to have to seal it after we paint it. All right, so boom, there is the red door. I painted it on the front and I painted it on the back. I'm not going to paint this part until this part dries. So this is the first coat. Not gonna know if it needs a second coat until this dries. This frame is going to be painted white. I think I'm going to paint the frame white, and I'm also going to paint this white as well. So we're going to wait till this dries to see if it needs a second coat. If not, we're going to seal it and paint the frame white as well as this one. Alright, so we did need a second coat of the red crafting paint. Once this part is dry on this side, we can go ahead and paint the frame white, and then you'll see that this part is going to completely disappear once the frame is painted white. So we are going to go ahead and start the white painting of this door. Alright, so the screen door is painted white, and then the front door is painted red, and then the trim is painted white. If you can see at the top here, that white kind of blends in that seam, kind of make it invisible, but I mean, once it's on the house, it's not really going to be like, oh my gosh, look, they put an extra piece there. You're not going to notice that when it's on the house. So we have the doors painted. We have the skirt, the trellis, the gate, whatever you want to call this, that's painted also. We also have the deck completely finished, and we also have the porch finished. So for the porch, I just basically kind of mimicked what I had on the deck. So the porch is also finished. So what we're going to start on next is going to be the gate, the skirt, the trellis, whatever you want to call it. We're going to start this. Before you start, on this side, you're going to want to take, well, what I did was I took some trim. It's the trim that is labeled E8147. I took one of these, and then I also took some of the coffee stairs, and I went ahead and painted those white. Those are going to be on the outside of the trellis, but before you start doing that, you're going to want to make sure you have where you want your stairs, and I'm going to want mine to be like lined up there. So once you have where you want your stairs, you're just going to mark where you're going to want your stairs at. Once again, I'm just going to want to line it up right there, and then you're just going to mark where you want your stairs. And then after that, on this side, you're going to go ahead and pre-cut the border for your skirt. So I've already pre-cut and labeled some pieces here, which is the coffee stairs painted white, and then you're just going to go ahead and start gluing those in place. So all this is the coffee stairs painted white, and you're going to use those as the border for your skirt. Alright, so what I'm noticing is that because we had to, or because we put coffee stairs on top of one another, it's kind of doubled the width of the coffee stairs. So when we put them on, there's like that little gap on there and then on the side. So if you are using coffee stairs, I would recommend you just start with the unfinished one first, and then you're going to put the painted one on top of the unfinished one. So you're just gonna glue the like painted one on top of the unfinished one like that, and you know, double the width that it was because a coffee stair is on top of the other to make the trellis. So that is what I would recommend if you're using coffee stairs. If you are going to use the trim, which I am using both coffee stairs and the trim is thick enough, and I just cut a piece of the trellis to show you that the trim, and the trim once again that I'm using, it's going to be the E8149. I'm not sure if I'm going to need it, but I'm using one of these. That is thick enough for the trellis. So the thickness of the trellis is thick enough for, and this is just a piece I cut off, it's thick enough for the trim. Just need to do it if you're using a coffee stair, and this is a coffee stair, and I'll show you here. You can see it's, the width is not as thick. Just do an unfinished one first, and then you put the painted one on top, so that way you don't have to, you know, paint it twice. Alright, so the easiest way to do this is to be working on like the edge. So what you're going to do is you're going to put, you know, your trellis or whatever skirt you want to call it, you're going to put it up against, you know, the border that you've already have here. You're going to put it up against the border, and then anything that's not going to be covered up, you're going to obviously be able to paint that black. But you're going to put that up against the border, and you're going to want the most coverage as possible. So you're not going to want to put it like this. You're not going to want to put it like this. You're going to want the most coverage as possible. So it's going to be kind of like in the middle of the trellis there. And you're going to make sure that it is diamond and not square. I mean, I guess if you want to put square, which is not typical on farmhouses, it's always the diamond shape. So you're going to put that in the middle there, the middle of the trellis there, and then you're just going to outline where your border is. You're going to eyeball it and outline where the border is. Now my lines, you're going to make sure you want to put it a little further up than what you see there, just to give you a little more room. So you're going to put that line all the way to the end of the trellis, and then you're just going to cut where that line is at. You got where that line is at, you're going to have something like this. You are going to need to do more cuts there at the top, because as you can see, if this was that way, you'll have a gap there. So you are going to need to do more cuts, but that is why we don't cut exactly where the line is, so that we can have more room. And then you're just going to do the same at the bottom. You're going to make your line to where you see the border is, make your line on your trellis, and then you're going to cut below that line just to give you some room, because you are going to need to make some more cuts here at the top. And then once you have your piece, you're just going to start making cuts where it is going to be necessary. So you're going to use your pencil and start making cuts where you deem necessary, which is why you don't cut exactly at the line, because you are going to need that to make changes to the top and the bottom. Okay, so boom, there we have it. So once you have that piece cut out, remember we're cutting pieces to fit. So your excess piece that you have of the trellis, you're going to use that to cut your next piece of trellis, and it's going to look something like this. So you want to make sure that if you're ending with a border like this, you're going to want to make sure that you have boards that are going to, you know, mimic what you did on that side. So it's going to look something like this. And then you also want to make sure that when you do this, your boards are all going like the same way. when you make it. So I think it actually goes like this. Yeah. Okay, so like that. And then you're gonna take some more excess pieces and you're gonna have to mimic, you know, the way that the boards are going. It looks like this one was cut the wrong way. So yeah, we're gonna have to make sure your ones that you are using are mimicking the way that they are going, because on this side they're going the opposite way. They're going this way instead of this way, but then on this side we got them going this way. So yeah, make sure you mimic that all the way around the edge. Alright, so the last part of this video is going to be putting the screen door onto the front door. So what you're going to need some small hinges. They also come with some small screws. And you're just going to take the hinge and you're going to mark with your pencil where those holes are. After you do that on the bottom and the top, you are going to take a small nail and a hammer and you're just going to nail in where you made those marks at, because you are going to want to basically have a starting point for your screws. You're not going to nail in all the way, you're just going to nail in a little bit just to get your screws started for the screen door. So once again, you're just going to start nailing in where those holes are that you marked to get your screws started, not nailing it all the way through the door. If you nail it all the way through the door, you're gonna have a difficult time screwing it in, and you may just need to nail it all the way in if you do it that way. So let's get a screw and see how well that went through. You don't need to, when you test your screw, you don't need to have the hinge on at first. And here you can see I screwed one screw in already. So the key is to make sure you do hammer a starting point and then screw in the screws. Okay, so I have one of the hinges on, and after seeing how it's on, I am realizing I am going to have to redo my holes. So go ahead and screw your hinges on the bottom, and then go ahead and gonna have to redo your holes maybe. But yeah, once you have one of the hinges on, go ahead and make sure that one is completely screwed in before you start on the other part, just to make sure that where you nailed in at is the right spots. Because yeah, I believe it is marked wrong on here. So go ahead and screw in the bottom part, and then before you start hammering away on here, once the bottom one is screwed on, then you're gonna be able to tell where to start nailing in to start the other side of the hinge. Alright y'all, look at this. It opens. It completely opens. You can see through. Okay, so I didn't glue this on, so yeah, let's go ahead and put that right back up there. Alright, yeah, so it opens, so it is complete. So we did modify the door, so you do see the little crack at the bottom. All you're gonna do is you're just gonna go over that with some white paint, and it's gonna be looking good as new. Also, on the inside, you see the cracks there. Those you're going to want to like fill with some wood glue. and then you can go back over the wood glue with the white paint. But make sure you fill those in because you don't want it to split all the way through. So then the screws are a little longer than the door, but everything can be fixed with some wood glue and some white paint to get the screen door that we wanted, but had to modify so that it would fit. I cannot believe how good that looks. Also, I bought a door handle that we're going to just glue on there for the handle, and it also came with like this little lock mechanism, I guess, for the front door. And here it is. Here it is. So if you have your door open all the way and just have your screen door closed, you can see all the way through the house. And what farmhouse is complete without a screen door? So there we have it. So just make sure that you guys aren't gluing your doors in at this point. You still have like the walls to do before you want to go ahead and glue that in. So don't glue it in. It does fit pretty snug in there without you having to glue it in. So just hold off on gluing it in until I'm gluing mine in. And of course I'll say, you know, now we can glue in the door. But just FYI, the door is not glued in, but it does fit pretty snug to where it really don't need to be glued in. It's, you know, it fits pretty snug. So don't glue it in quite yet, because we have walls to do where we're not gonna want this to be glued in at that time. All right, y'all, that concludes part 3 of putting together the Victoria Farmhouse step-by-step instructions. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so that you don't miss when I post part 4 of putting together the Victoria Farmhouse.